The envelope sat on my coffee table like a bomb. Cream-colored, heavy cardstock, gold embossing catching the afternoon light. I'd been staring at it for 20 minutes, afraid to touch it again after seeing the return address. Just throw it away, I muttered to myself. But my fingers betrayed me, reaching for it like a moth to flame. The paper cut stung as I slid my finger under the flap. Perfect. Blood on their perfect invitation. I sucked my finger as I pulled out the card, my stomach dropping before I even read the words. Mr. and Mrs. Bowen request the honor of your presence at the celebration of their daughter, Zuriel's engagement to Tyree Chapman. My ex-fiancé. The man who'd promised me forever exactly 8 months ago. I let out a laugh that sounded more like a sob. The invitation trembled in my hand, Tyree's name blurring as tears filled my eyes. I blinked them back. No, I wouldn't cry over him. Not again. My phone buzzed. Vada's name flashed on the screen. Did you get it? She asked without preamble. Yeah. My voice sounded hollow even to me. Just opened it. Aaron, I swear to God, that man is trash. Who invites their ex to their engagement party? It's psychotic. I traced my finger over the embossed letters. I don't think he sent it. Then who? The return address is the Bowens. I'm guessing his new fiancée wanted to make a point. Vada's silence spoke volumes. We both knew what that point was. I won. You're not going, right? Vada finally asked. The invitation listed a date 3 weeks away, an evening celebration at some upscale venue downtown that Tyree and I had actually considered for our own wedding. Of course not, I said automatically, but something hot and tight was coiling in my chest, something that felt dangerously like purpose. Good, Vada sighed, because that would be. I have to go, I cut her off. Work emergency, talk later. I hung up before she could protest and tossed my phone aside. Work was fine. I just couldn't handle her concern right now. I walked to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of wine, even though it was barely 4 p.m. The first sip burned going down, but the second was smoother. By the third, I could breathe again. I leaned against the counter, letting memories wash over me. Tyree's smile the first time we met at that charity auction. His hand on the small of my back. The way he'd looked at me like I was the answer to a question he'd been asking his whole life. You're different, he'd told me on our third date. You see me? The real me. God, I'd been so proud of that. So certain I understood him in ways no one else could. I took another sip of wine, larger this time. The memory shifted to our last night together. His face illuminated by the glow of his phone screen at 2 a.m., the way he'd quickly turned it off when he noticed me watching. Just work, he'd said, pulling me close. Go back to sleep, baby. I'd known then. Some part of me had known, but I'd closed my eyes and breathed in his scent and pretended everything was fine. Because that's what you do when you've built your whole future around someone. You ignore the cracks until the foundation collapses. I walked back to the living room and picked up the invitation again. Zuriel Bowen. I'd never heard her name until now, but I'd seen her face. In the background of a friend's Instagram post. Standing too close to Tyree at a party I'd missed because of a work trip. Her hand on his arm, her eyes fixed on his face with that hungry look I recognized because I'd worn it myself. I'd confronted him. He'd denied everything. Called me paranoid, insecure. You need to trust me, he'd said, holding my face between his hands. There's only you. There will only ever be you. 2 weeks later, he was gone. A note on the counter. I'm sorry. I need space to figure things out. Space to figure out he wanted someone else. I drained my wine glass and set it down hard. 8 months. That's all it had taken him to go from promising me forever to promising it to someone else. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Surprised to see your name on the guest list. He never loved you, anyway. Zie. The air left my lungs in a rush. I read it again, my hands shaking with sudden rage. Who the hell did she think she was? Zuriel Bowen, with her perfect name and her perfect family, and her stolen fiancé, sending me an invitation just to twist the knife, then texting to make sure it hurt. I typed back before I could think better of it. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy my leftovers. I hit send, then immediately regretted it. It was petty, beneath me. But as I stared at the invitation, something shifted inside me. The hurt crystallized into something harder, sharper. This woman thought she knew me, thought she knew us, but she had no idea what Tyree was capable of, or what I was. I picked up the invitation one more time, running my thumb over the RSVP card. Maybe I would go after all. Maybe it was time Zuriel Bowen learned exactly who she was dealing with, and exactly who she was marrying. The coffee shop was my sanctuary long before Tyree. It's where I came when I needed to think, which is exactly what I needed 3 days after receiving that invitation. Your usual? Marco asked from behind the counter. I nodded, grateful for the familiarity. At least some things hadn't changed. You look like hell, he said, not unkindly, as he handed me my Americano. Thanks, it's my new aesthetic. He smiled, but his eyes held concern. Rough week? You could say that. I dropped a 5 in the tip jar and retreated to my corner table by the window. I hadn't slept properly since the invitation arrived. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Zuriel's text, "He never loved you anyway." The words had burrowed under my skin like splinters. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my photos. I'd deleted most pictures of Tyree after we broke up, but I'd kept a few. Evidence, maybe? Or punishment. There he was at my birthday dinner last year, arm around my shoulders, pressing a kiss to my temple. His eyes were closed. Mine were open, looking directly at the camera, radiating happiness. What a joke. I zoomed in on his face. Had he already met her by then? Was he already thinking about leaving? Aaron! I looked up, startled. Riley stood there, coffee in hand, looking uncomfortable. Tyree's friend. One of the many people who'd vanished from my life when he did. Mind if I join you? She asked. I gestured to the empty chair across from me. Free country! She sat, fidgeting with her cup sleeve. I heard you got an invitation. News travels fast. Zuriel's making sure of it. Riley's mouth twisted. She's territorial. Is that what you call it? I took a sip of my coffee. I'd use different words. Riley glanced around, then leaned forward. Look, I know we haven't talked since everything, but I thought you should know. This engagement isn't what it seems. My heart stuttered. What do you mean? Tyree's been acting weird, like really weird, drinking too much, picking fights. Last week at dinner, he disappeared for 20 minutes and came back looking like he'd seen a ghost. So he's having cold feet, not my problem. It's more than that. Riley lowered her voice. He keeps asking about you, where you are, what you're doing, if you're seeing anyone. The coffee turned bitter in my mouth. Why are you telling me this? Because Zuriel's family is powerful in this city. They've got connections everywhere, the kind of people who can make or break careers. She paused. Your career included. Ice slid down my spine. Is that a threat? It's a warning. Zuriel knows things about you. Things Tyree told her. My fingers tightened around my cup. Like what? Riley looked away. Like the real reason you lost that promotion last year. The air left my lungs. No one knew about that. No one except Tyree. I'd confided in him after too many glasses of wine. Told him how I'd accessed confidential files I shouldn't have, looking for information that would give me an edge. How I'd been caught but let off with a warning because my boss liked me. How terrified I'd been of losing everything. He wouldn't, I whispered. He already has. Riley's eyes met mine. Zuriel's cousin works at your company, in HR. The room tilted slightly. If that information got out, I wouldn't just lose my job. I'd be unemployable in my field. Why would he do that? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Because he's scared. Riley leaned closer. There are things about Tyree that Zuriel doesn't know. Things he's desperate to keep hidden. Like what? She shook her head. I've already said too much. Just be careful, Aaron. Whatever you're planning, and I know you're planning something, remember that Zuriel isn't the only one who can play dirty. Before I could respond, the door to the coffee shop opened. Alvin, Tyree's younger brother, walked in. He spotted us immediately, his eyes widening. Riley stood abruptly. I have to go. Wait! But she was already walking away, brushing past Alvin without acknowledging him. He approached my table slowly, hands in his pockets. Hey, Aaron. Alvin. I hadn't seen him since the breakup either. How's life? Complicated. He shifted his weight. I heard about the invitation. That was messed up. Seems to be the consensus. He glanced at the chair Riley had vacated. What did she want? To catch up on old times, I said dryly. Why? Are you monitoring Tyree's friends now? I'm not monitoring anyone. He sighed. Look, I know my brother hurt you, but this thing with Zuriel, it's not right. What thing? The engagement? Alvin's eyes darted around the coffee shop. The whole situation. There's more going on than you know. That seems to be today's theme. I leaned forward. So tell me, Alvin, what don't I know? He hesitated, then pulled out his phone. I shouldn't be showing you this. He pulled up a photo and handed me the phone. It was Tyree with an older man I didn't recognize, shaking hands in what looked like an office. That's Zuriel's father, Alvin said quietly. He's the reason Tyree proposed. I don't understand. My brother's company is in trouble, major trouble. Zuriel's father offered to bail him out, but there was a condition. His eyes met mine. Family ties. The implications hit me like a physical blow. Tyree hadn't left me for love. He'd left me for money. There's something else, Alvin said, taking back his phone. Something about you. A photo Tyree doesn't know exists. What photo? Alvin glanced at his watch. I can't talk now. But if you're going to that engagement party, you should know what you're walking into. He turned to leave, then paused. Be careful, Aaron. My brother isn't the man you thought you knew. As he walked away, I sat frozen, my coffee growing cold. Tyree was hiding something big enough to make him sell himself to Zuriel's family, and somehow I was part of it. I couldn't focus at work. My mind kept replaying Alvin's words, turning them over like puzzle pieces that refused to fit together. What photo was he talking about? And why would it matter to Tyree? Earth to Aaron. My coworker Jess waved a hand in front of my face. You in there? I blinked, returning to the present. Sorry, what were you saying? The Henderson presentation? It's starting in 5 minutes? Right. I gathered my notes, trying to look composed. I'm ready. Are you? Jess studied my face. Because you look like you're about to either pass out or commit a felony. Just tired. I forced a smile. Let's go. I somehow made it through the presentation on autopilot, nodding at the right moments, answering questions with practiced responses. But inside, I was somewhere else entirely. Back at my desk, I opened my laptop and did what I'd been resisting for months. I searched for Tyree online. His company website appeared first. Tyree Chapman, CEO of Vertex Solutions. The photo showed him in a crisp suit, smiling confidently at the camera. The man who'd promised me the world. I scrolled through news articles, finding nothing unusual until I hit a business journal from 3 months ago. Vertex Solutions faces investor scrutiny amid financial concerns. So Alvin was right. Tyree's company was in trouble. I dug deeper, scanning financial reports and industry blogs. Vertex had lost a major client last quarter. Their stock was down. Rumors of mismanagement swirled. Then I found it. A small announcement in a society column from 6 weeks ago. Tech entrepreneur Tyree Chapman seen dining with real estate magnate Harold Bowen, Zuriel's father. My phone buzzed with a text from Vada. Drinks tonight. You've been MIA. I texted back. Can't. Working late. It wasn't entirely a lie. I was working. Just not on anything my company would approve of. By 6 o'clock, the office had emptied out. I stayed, using the quiet to continue my research. Tyree and I had been together for 2 years. I knew his passwords, his habits, his patterns. I knew how his mind worked, or I thought I did. I tried logging into his email with our old shared password. Access denied. I tried his Instagram. Same result. He'd changed everything. Frustrated, I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. What was I missing? My phone rang, startling me. Unknown number. Hello? It's Hadley. My former mentor's voice was unmistakable, sharp, slightly impatient. We need to talk. My stomach tightened. Hadley had been my boss at my previous company before I'd followed Tyree's advice and taken a better opportunity elsewhere. We hadn't spoken since I left. About what? Not over the phone. Meet me at Riverview Park, the bench by the east entrance. 30 minutes. She hung up before I could respond. The park was quiet when I arrived. Just a few joggers and dog walkers enjoying the early evening. Hadley sat on the bench, elegant as always in a tailored pantsuit, her silver hair gleaming in the fading light. "You look terrible," she said as I approached. "Hello to you, too." She patted the bench beside her. "Sit." I sat, keeping a careful distance between us. "How did you get my number?" "I have my ways." She studied me with those penetrating gray eyes. "I heard about Tyree's engagement. News travels fast." "In certain circles, yes." She reached into her bag and pulled out a manila envelope. "I also heard you received an invitation." I stiffened. "How do you know that?" "Because I know Zuriel. I used to work with her father." Hadley handed me the envelope. "And I know what Tyree did to you." I took the envelope but didn't open it. "What is this?" "Insurance." Her mouth curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Against whatever game you're playing." "I'm not playing any game." "Please." She waved a dismissive hand. "I taught you better than to lie to me. You're planning something. I just want to make sure you don't get burned in the process." I hesitated, then opened the envelope. Inside was a USB drive. What's on it? Financial records, emails, evidence that Tyree has been systematically embezzling from his own company for the past year. Hadley's voice was matter-of-fact. "He's desperate for the Bowen money because he's been stealing from his investors." The world seemed to tilt beneath me. "That's not possible. Tyree wouldn't." "Wouldn't what? Lie? Cheat?" Hadley raised an eyebrow. "He did both to you, didn't he?" I clutched the USB drive, feeling sick. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because Harold Bowen ruined my career 15 years ago. Because Tyree used you and discarded you. Because Zuriel is a spoiled child who thinks she can buy whatever she wants." Hadley's eyes hardened. "Pick a reason." "You want me to expose him." "I want you to have options." She stood, brushing invisible lint from her slacks. "What you do with that information is up to you." As she turned to leave, I called after her. "Wait, there's something else. A photo Tyree doesn't want found. Do you know anything about that?" Hadley paused, her back to me. "There are many things Tyree wants to keep hidden. But a photo?" She glanced over her shoulder. "That sounds personal." After she left, I sat alone on the bench, the USB drive heavy in my hand. The park had emptied now, shadows lengthening across the grass. I felt exposed, vulnerable. What was I doing? Planning revenge against a man who might be a criminal? Involving myself in corporate espionage and God knows what else? I should walk away. Delete Zuriel's text. Throw away the invitation. Forget Tyree ever existed. But then I remembered his voice the night he proposed. "You're the only one who really knows me, Aaron. The only one I can trust with everything." Had any of it been real? My phone buzzed. A text from Alvin. "We need to meet. Tomorrow." I found the photo. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Whatever this photo was, it connected to everything else. Tyree's secrets, his engagement to Zuriel, maybe even his company's troubles. I texted back, "Where and when?" As I walked back to my car, Clutching the USB drive, I realized something had shifted inside me. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about truth, about finally seeing Tyree for who he really was. And maybe about seeing myself clearly too. I met Alvin at a diner across town, the kind of place where no one would recognize either of us. He was already in a corner booth when I arrived, hunched over a coffee mug, looking like he hadn't slept. "You okay?" I asked, sliding in across from him. "Not really." He glanced around nervously. "I shouldn't be here. Yet here you are." I flagged down a waitress and ordered coffee. "So what's this photo you mentioned?" Alvin pulled out his phone, but kept it close to his chest. "Before I show you, I need to know what you're planning to do with it." "That depends on what it is." "I'm serious, Aaron." His eyes met mine. "Tyree's my brother. I love him, even when he's being an idiot. I don't want to see him destroyed." The waitress returned with my coffee. I waited until she left before responding. "I'm not trying to destroy him, Alvin. I just want to understand what happened." He studied my face, searching for something. Whatever he saw must have satisfied him, because he unlocked his phone and slid it across the table. The photo showed Tyree with a woman who wasn't Zuriel. They were on a boat, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. The timestamp showed it was taken 3 weeks ago. "Who is she?" I asked, my voice steady despite the knot forming in my stomach. "Her name's Mia. She works for Zuriel's father." I zoomed in on their faces. They looked comfortable together, intimate. "He's cheating on his fiancée." Alvin took back his phone. "It's more complicated than that. Mia's been feeding him information about Harold's business dealings, information Tyree's been using to try to save his company." "So he's using her. Like he's using Zuriel." Alvin's voice was quiet. "Like he used you." The words hit like a slap. "What do you mean?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You really don't know, do you? Tyree started dating you because of your connections at Meridian Tech. He needed an in with their executive team. My old company, where I'd worked before Tyree convinced me to leave." "That's not true," I said automatically. "We met at a charity auction." "An auction he attended specifically because he knew you'd be there." Alvin looked miserable. "I'm sorry, Aaron. I thought you'd figured it out by now." The diner seemed suddenly too bright, too loud. My coffee turned sour in my mouth. "If that's true, why are you telling me this? Why show me the photo?" "Because I'm tired of watching him hurt people." Alvin's eyes hardened. "And because Zuriel threatened me." "What?" "She found out I've been talking to you. Said if I didn't control the situation, she'd make sure I never worked in this city again." He laughed bitterly. "As if I'm the problem." I tried to process everything. Tyree had targeted me from the beginning, used me for business connections, then discarded me when a better opportunity came along. And now he was cheating on that better opportunity while still planning to marry her. "What a mess," I murmured. "Yeah." Alvin checked his watch. "I need to go. Tyree's expecting me at some engagement party planning thing." As he stood to leave, I asked, "Why did you really show me that photo, Alvin?" "The truth." He paused. "Because you deserved better than what my brother did to you, and because someone needs to stop this engagement before it destroys more lives than it already has." After he left, I sat alone, my mind racing. The photo changed everything. Or maybe it changed nothing. Just confirmed what I'd already suspected. Tyree was a user, a manipulator, a man who saw people as stepping stones. My phone buzzed. A text from Vada. "We need to talk. My place. 7 p.m. Non-negotiable." I sighed. I'd been avoiding her, and she knew it. Vada's apartment was exactly as I remembered. Plants everywhere, colorful pillows, the faint scent of incense. She opened the door with a stern expression that softened when she saw my face. "You look like hell," she said, pulling me into a hug. "So I've been told." She led me to her couch and handed me a glass of wine without asking. "Spill. Everything." So I did. The invitation, Zuriel's text, my conversations with Riley, Alvin, and Hadley, the USB drive, the photo. Vada listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each revelation. "So let me get this straight," she said when I finished. "You're planning to go to this engagement party, and what? Expose Tyree as a cheater and a criminal?" "I haven't decided yet." "Bullshit." She set down her wine glass. "You decided the moment you got that invitation." "Is that so wrong?" I demanded. "After what he did?" "It's not about right or wrong, Erin. It's about you." Her eyes softened. "This path you're on, it's changing you, and not in a good way." "I'm just trying to get answers." "No, you're trying to get even. There's a difference." She took my hand. "I'm worried about you. This obsession with Tyree and his new fiancée. It's not healthy." "It's not an obsession." "Then walk away. Delete the texts. Throw away the USB. Don't go to the party." I pulled my hand back. "I can't." "Why not?" "Because—" I struggled to articulate the burning feeling in my chest. "Because he doesn't get to win. Not after everything." Vada studied me for a long moment. "And if you destroy him? If you expose all his secrets and ruin his engagement? What then? Will that heal what he broke in you?" The question hung in the air between us, uncomfortable and piercing. "I don't know," I admitted finally, "but I need to find out." She sighed, reaching for her wine again. "Then I'm coming with you." "What?" "To the engagement party. You need backup." Her eyes met mine. "And someone to pull you back if you go too far." As I left Vada's apartment later that night, my phone buzzed with a new message. Unknown number. "I know what you're planning. Meet me tomorrow if you want the full story about Tyree." Mia. Attached was a photo of a cafe downtown, and a time, 1 p.m. The woman from the boat wanted to meet me. The woman Tyree was cheating with. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt a creeping sense of dread. I was crossing a line, moving from seeking answers to actively participating in the destruction of Tyree's carefully constructed world. And despite Vada's concerns, I wasn't sure I wanted to stop. The cafe was busier than I expected for a weekday afternoon. I arrived early, choosing a table with a clear view of the entrance. My hands wouldn't stop fidgeting, so I wrapped them around a mug of tea I didn't want. When she walked in, I recognized her immediately from the photo. Mia was striking in person. Tall, with dark hair cut in a severe bob, and the confident stride of someone used to commanding attention. She spotted me and walked directly to my table, no hesitation. "Erin," she said, extending her hand. "Thank you for meeting me." Her grip was firm, her eyes assessing. I gestured to the chair across from me. "I was surprised to hear from you," I said as she sat down. "I imagine so." She ordered an espresso from a passing server, then turned her full attention to me. "Alvin told me he showed you the photo." "He did." And now you're wondering why the woman your ex is cheating with wants to meet you." Her directness was jarring. "I'll get straight to the point. I'm not sleeping with Tyree." I raised an eyebrow. "The photo suggests otherwise." "The photo shows exactly what Tyree wanted it to show." Her espresso arrived, and she took a sip before continuing. "I work in Harold Bowen's legal department. 6 months ago, Tyree approached me with a proposition. He needed information on Harold's business dealings, and I needed—" She paused. "Let's just say I had my reasons for agreeing." "So you're spying on your boss for my ex." "Was spying," she corrected. I stopped when I realized what Tyree was really after. "Which is—" Mia leaned forward. "Harold Bowen is dying. Cancer. He has maybe 6 months. When he goes, his entire empire, real estate, tech investments, everything, passes to Zuriel." The implications hit me immediately. Tyree's marrying her for the inheritance. "Precisely." Mia's eyes were cold. "He's not just using her for a bailout. He's positioning himself to take over everything when Harold dies." I felt sick. Does Zuriel know about her father? Yes. It's why she's so desperate to make this marriage happen. She's always been Daddy's little girl, and she wants to fulfill his dying wish to see her settled. Mia's mouth twisted. She has no idea what she's walking into. Why tell me this? Why not warn Zuriel directly? I tried. She called me a jealous liar and threatened to have me fired. Mia shrugged. But you, Tyree hurt you. You have reason to want the truth exposed. So I'm your weapon. So, I prefer to think of it as mutual interest. She reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. This contains emails between Tyree and his financial advisor discussing how to structure the marriage contract to maximize his control over Bowen assets after Harold's death. I stared at the flash drive but didn't take it. What do you get out of this? Justice. Something flashed in her eyes. Pain, maybe. Or rage. Harold Bowen destroyed my father's company 15 years ago, drove him to suicide. I've been working my way into his organization for years, looking for a way to bring him down. And now you're using me to do it. We're using each other, she corrected. Isn't that what this is all about? I finally took the flash drive, turning it over in my hand. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Yes, you have. Mia stood, leaving cash for her espresso. The engagement party is in 2 weeks. I'll be there. I hope you will too. She left without looking back, the scent of her expensive perfume lingering. I sat there for a long time, the flash drive heavy in my palm. Everyone was using everyone else in this twisted game. Tyree using Zuriel for her inheritance. Zuriel using Tyree to please her dying father. Mia using me for revenge against Harold. Me using all of them to soothe my wounded pride. When had I become this person? I walked home instead of taking a cab, needing the time to think. The city bustled around me, people rushing to meetings, to dinner, to lives that had nothing to do with revenge or betrayal. My apartment felt empty when I arrived. I dropped my keys on the counter and noticed the light blinking on my answering machine. Who even left voicemails anymore? I pressed play. Aaron, it's Tyree. My heart stopped. His voice, so familiar, yet now laced with something I couldn't identify. I know you got the invitation. I know you've been talking to Alvin and Riley. A pause, the sound of him taking a breath. We need to talk, about us, about what really happened. Call me. The message ended. I stood frozen, staring at the machine as if it might explode. Us. As if there was still an us. I pulled out my phone and found his number, still in my contacts, despite my attempts to erase him from my life. My finger hovered over the call button. What would I even say? What could he possibly tell me that would change anything? Instead of calling, I plugged in the flash drive Mia had given me. My laptop hummed as it loaded the contents. Dozens of emails, financial documents, legal agreements. I opened the first email. Tyree. As discussed, the prenuptial agreement has been structured to give you controlling interest in all Bowen holdings in the event of Harold's death, provided you remain married to Zuriel for a minimum of 1 year. Given Harold's prognosis, the timing works in our favor. However, I must caution you again about the risks. If Zuriel discovers your intentions before the wedding, you'll lose everything, including what remains of Vertex. Proceed carefully. Martin. My hands shook as I closed the laptop. This was worse than I'd imagined. Tyree wasn't just a cheater or a user. He was methodically planning to take advantage of a dying man and his daughter. My phone buzzed with a text from Vada. Did you meet her? What happened? Before I could respond, another text came through. From Tyree this time. I'm outside your building. Please, 5 minutes. I moved to the window and peered down at the street. There he was, standing under the streetlight, looking up at my apartment. Even from this distance, I could see the tension in his shoulders. For a moment, I was back in our first apartment, watching him cook dinner while telling me about his day, his eyes crinkling when he laughed. Then I remembered the emails, the photos, the lies. I stepped back from the window and texted Vada. He's here, outside my apartment. Her response was immediate. Don't you dare let him in. But even as I read her warning, I was already moving toward the door, pulled by a force I couldn't name. Not love, not anymore. Something darker, something that whispered, "Let him see your face when you tell him you know everything." I took a deep breath before opening the door. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I kept my face neutral as Tyree came into view. He looked terrible. His usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, shirt wrinkled, stubble darkening his jaw, shadows under his eyes. For a split second, I felt a flicker of satisfaction seeing him unraveled. "Aaron!" My name on his lips still held a strange power. "Thank you for—" "5 minutes," I interrupted, not moving from the doorway. "That's what you asked for." He nodded, swallowing hard. "Can I come in?" Every instinct screamed no, but I stepped aside. Better to have this conversation away from curious neighbors. Tyree entered cautiously, like he was approaching a wild animal. His eyes swept over my apartment, taking in the changes since he'd last been here. The new couch, the absence of photos that once lined my walls, the space I'd reclaimed as my own. "You look good," he said, turning to face me. "What do you want, Tyree?" He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my chest ache. "I needed to see you, to explain." "Explain what? Why you left? Why you're engaged 6 months later? Or why you invited me to the engagement party?" I crossed my arms. "I'm genuinely curious which part you think needs explaining." "All of it." He moved toward me, then stopped when I tensed. "Aaron, the things you've heard about me." "From who? Alvin? Riley?" I watched his face carefully. "Or Mia?" His expression flickered. Surprise, then calculation. "You've been busy." "I've been enlightened." I leaned against the wall, maintaining distance between us. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out what you're doing?" "And what exactly am I doing?" His voice was steady, but I caught the slight tightening around his eyes. "Some marrying Zuriel for her inheritance, planning to take control of her father's empire after he dies." I kept my tone conversational, as if discussing the weather. "Pretty elaborate, even for you." Tyree went very still. "Who told you that?" "Does it matter? I've seen the emails, Tyree, the prenup details, your conversations with Martin about timing Harold's death with your 1-year marriage milestone." I shook my head. "It's disgusting. It's not what you think." He took a step toward me. "Yes, I'm marrying Zuriel. Yes, there's a financial arrangement, but it's more complicated than using a dying man's wish to see his daughter married? Than manipulating a woman who actually loves you?" My voice rose despite my efforts to stay calm. "Or is it more complicated than how you used me for my connections at Meridian?" That stopped him cold. "Who told you that?" "Your brother. Turns out Alvin has a conscience, even if you don't." Tyree closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, something had changed. The desperation was gone, replaced by a cold calculation I'd never seen directed at me before. "You're right," he said quietly. "About most of it. I pursued you initially because of your position at Meridian. I'm marrying Zuriel partly because of her father's money." The admission hit harder than I expected. Even knowing the truth, hearing him say it out loud felt like being punched. "But you're wrong about one thing," he continued. "What happened between us? That became real. I loved you, Aaron." "Loved," I repeated. Past tense. "I still do." He stepped closer, and this time I didn't back away. "That's why I'm here, to warn you." "Warn me about what?" "Zuriel knows you're digging. She knows you've been talking to people close to me." His eyes held mine. "She's dangerous when she feels threatened." "So your fiancé sent you to intimidate me?" "No." He reached for my hand, and I let him take it, curious where this performance was heading. "She doesn't know I'm here. I came because—" He hesitated. "Because despite everything, I don't want to see you hurt." His thumb traced circles on my palm, an intimate gesture that once would have melted me. Now it just made my skin crawl. I pulled my hand away. "How considerate. You break my heart, steal my career opportunities, plan a sham marriage, and then warn me not to interfere because your fiancé might get upset. I laughed, the sound brittle. You really are something, Tyree. This isn't a joke. His voice hardened. Zuriel's father has connections everywhere. One word from him, and you'll never work in this industry again. Is that a threat? It's reality. He moved closer, his voice dropping. Walk away, Aaron. Don't come to the engagement party. Forget about me, about all of this. We were inches apart now. I could smell his cologne, the same one he'd worn when we were together. Could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. For a moment, I was transported back to happier times, when his proximity made my heart race for entirely different reasons. Why did you really come here, Tyree? I asked softly. I told you, to warn you. No. I held his gaze. The truth, for once. Something cracked in his expression, a glimpse of the man I thought I knew. I needed to see if there was anything left between us, anything I could salvage. And is there? He reached up, his fingers hovering near my cheek without touching it. You tell me. The moment stretched between us, taut with possibility. I could forgive him, could believe that somewhere beneath the lies and manipulation, he had loved me, could walk away from this whole mess and try to rebuild my life. Instead, I stepped back. The engagement party is in 10 days. I'll be there. His face hardened. That's a mistake. Probably. I moved to the door and opened it. But it's mine to make. As he walked past me, he paused. You've changed. Yes, I agreed. Thanks to you. After he left, I leaned against the closed door, my legs suddenly weak. My phone buzzed with a text from Vada. You okay? Before I could respond, another message came through from an unknown number. Hope you enjoyed your reunion with Tyree. The clock's ticking. Z'd. My blood went cold. Attached was a photo taken tonight. Tyree entering my building. She'd been watching us. Had probably sent him here, despite his claims otherwise. The game had changed. This wasn't just about exposing Tyree anymore. It was about surviving whatever Zuriel had planned. I texted Vada back. No. But I will be. Then I opened my laptop and began preparing for the engagement party. No more hesitation, no more doubt. It was time to end this. The engagement venue glittered with wealth and pretension. Crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, floral arrangements taller than me. I smoothed down my black dress, feeling both underdressed and perfectly armed for battle. You sure about this? Vada whispered beside me, looking stunning and completely out of place in her emerald cocktail dress. No, I admitted, but I'm doing it anyway. We moved through the crowd, accepting champagne from passing waiters. I scanned the room, cataloging faces. Riley near the bar, avoiding eye contact. Alvin by the windows, looking miserable. Hadley in deep conversation with an older man I didn't recognize. And then I saw them. Tyree and Zuriel, holding court in the center of the room. Her hand possessively on his arm, diamonds glittering at her throat and on her finger. Him smiling that practiced smile that once made me feel like the only woman in the world. There she is, Vada murmured. The competition. She was never competition, I said, taking a sip of champagne. She was the prize. Zuriel looked up then, her eyes meeting mine across the room. Her smile never faltered, but something cold and calculating passed across her face. She whispered something to Tyree, whose head snapped up, his gaze finding me immediately. Showtime, I muttered. Vada squeezed my arm. I'll be right here. I moved through the crowd alone, accepting congratulations from strangers who assumed I was a friend of the happy couple. The irony wasn't lost on me. Zuriel reached me first, her smile diamond bright and just as hard. Aaron, I wasn't sure you'd come. And miss celebrating your happiness? Never. I kept my voice light, my smile fixed. How generous of you. She looked me up and down, her assessment obvious. Especially given your history with my fiancé. Ancient history, I assured her. Tyree appeared at her side, tension radiating from him despite his polished appearance. Aaron, you look well. You too. I raised my glass slightly. Congratulations to you both. An awkward silence fell, the three of us locked in a triangle of unspoken truths. Zuriel broke it first. Tyree, darling, would you mind getting me another drink? I'd love a moment with Aaron. His eyes darted between us, clearly reluctant to leave. I'm not sure. It's fine, she insisted, her tone brooking no argument. We'll be right here. After he left, her smile disappeared. You have exactly 1 minute to tell me why you're really here before I have security escort you out. I took another sip of champagne, letting the moment stretch. I'm curious, Zuriel. Does your father know what kind of man he's giving his daughter to? Her eyes narrowed. My father adores Tyree. I'm sure he does. Tyree can be very charming when he wants something. I glanced around the opulent room. And he wants quite a lot, doesn't he? If you're implying, I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. I lowered my voice. Fact. Tyree's company is failing. Fact. Your father is dying. Fact. The prenup gives Tyree controlling interest in Bowen Holdings after 1 year of marriage. Her composure slipped, just for a second. Who told you that? Does it matter? I have copies of the emails, the financial agreements, everything. I held her gaze. He doesn't love you, Zuriel. He loves what you represent. Access, power, money. You're pathetic, she hissed. Making up lies because you can't stand that he chose me over you. He didn't choose you. He chose your inheritance. I stepped closer. Just like he chose me for my connections at Meridian. We're both just means to an end for him. Something flickered in her eyes. Doubt, maybe. But it was quickly replaced by cold fury. Security, she called, gesturing to a man in a dark suit. This woman needs to leave. Not yet. I pulled out my phone. Don't you want to see the photos first? Tyree and Mia on the boat? The emails about how to structure the marriage to maximize his control? I smiled thinly. Or maybe you'd like to hear the recording of him admitting it all to me last week? The security guard paused, looking between us uncertainly. Zuriel's face had gone pale. You're bluffing. Am I? I held up my phone. Should we find out? Maybe play the recording over the sound system during your toast? Her hand shot out, gripping my wrist with surprising strength. What do you want? I want you to know exactly who you're marrying. I pulled my arm free. And I want him to know that he didn't break me. A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. Harold Bowen had arrived, looking frail but determined, leaning on a cane as he made his way into the room. The crowd parted for him, murmurs of respect following in his wake. Zuriel's face transformed, softening with genuine love. Daddy wasn't supposed to come. He's too weak. For the first time, I saw her not as my rival or Tyree's victim, but as a daughter desperate to fulfill her dying father's wishes. Something twisted in my chest, not quite sympathy, but understanding. He wanted to see you happy, I said quietly. Yes. Her eyes met mine, suddenly vulnerable. Is what you're saying true? About Tyree? Before I could answer, Tyree returned, his face tight with anxiety. Your father's here. I can see that. Zuriel's voice was cool, her mask back in place. Perfect timing for the toast, don't you think? Tyree's eyes darted to me. Zuriel, perhaps we should… No, I insist. She took the fresh champagne from him. In fact, Erin was just telling me she has something to share with everyone. Something about us. My heart pounded as she turned to the room, tapping her glass for attention. The crowd quieted, all eyes turning our way. Friends, family, thank you all for coming tonight, Zuriel announced. My father has joined us, which makes this evening even more special. She smiled at the frail man, now seated near the front. Before my fiancé and I make our toast, our friend Erin has something she'd like to share. She turned to me, challenge in her eyes. Don't you, Erin? The room fell silent. Tyree's face had gone ashen. Across the crowd, I saw Vada watching intently, ready to intervene. Alvin looked sick. Hadley raised an eyebrow, waiting. This was it. The moment I'd been planning for. I could destroy Tyree with a few words, a played recording, a shared screen. Could expose him as the fraud he was. Watch his carefully constructed world crumble. I stepped forward, phone in hand, and looked directly at Harold Bowen, this dying man whose last wish was to see his daughter happily married. Then I looked at Tyree, the man I'd once loved, the man who'd used me, lied to me, discarded me. And finally, I looked at myself, what I'd become in pursuit of revenge, the lines I'd crossed, the person I'd turned into. I took a deep breath and began to speak. "I'd like to congratulate the happy couple," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me, "and to share something important on this special night." Tyree's eyes pleaded with me. Zuriel's glittered with challenge. The room held its breath. I raised my glass. To new beginnings and to truth. I turned to Harold Bowen, this frail man watching his daughter with such naked love. "Sir, your daughter deserves a marriage built on honesty, on mutual respect." I glanced at Tyree, whose face had gone rigid. "On love, not calculation." Harold nodded, confusion crossing his features. "Of course." I pulled up the recording on my phone, my thumb hovering over the play button. One press, and Tyree's world would implode. His admission about using me, about marrying Zuriel for her inheritance. Everything. The silence stretched. I felt rather than saw Vada moving toward me, ready to intervene if needed. And then I saw it. The flash of fear in Tyree's eyes. Not just fear of exposure, but something deeper, more primal. He was afraid of me, of what I'd become. I looked down at my phone, then back at the crowd, watching with morbid fascination. At Harold, frail but dignified. At Zuriel, her perfect veneer cracking under pressure. "The truth is," I continued, lowering my phone, "I came here tonight thinking I needed revenge to heal. That exposing secrets would somehow fix what was broken in me." Confusion rippled through the room. This wasn't the dramatic revelation they'd expected. But standing here now, I realized something. I met Tyree's gaze directly. "You don't have that power over me anymore. You never did." I turned to Zuriel. "Whatever choices you make about your future, make them with open eyes. That's all any of us can do." I raised my glass one final time. "To seeing clearly, even when it hurts." I drank, then set my glass down and walked away, the crowd parting before me. Behind me, I heard the murmur of confused voices, Zuriel's sharp command for music to resume, Tyree calling my name. I didn't look back. Vada caught up with me at the coat check. "What the hell was that?" Not what anyone expected. I collected my wrap, hands surprisingly steady, including me. "You had him. You could have destroyed him." "Yes." I met her eyes. "And destroyed myself in the process." Outside, the night air was cool against my flushed skin. I breathed deeply, feeling lighter than I had in months. "Aaron!" Tyree's voice. I turned to see him hurrying down the steps after me, his tie loosened, face flushed. "Let me handle this," Vada said, stepping forward. I touched her arm. "It's okay, I've got it." I nodded toward the street. "Get us a cab, I'll be right there." She hesitated, then squeezed my hand and walked away. Tyree stopped a few feet from me, breathing hard. "Why?" "Why what?" "Why didn't you do it? Play the recording, show the emails. You had everything you needed to ruin me." I studied his face, this man I'd once thought I'd spend my life with. "Because it wasn't about you. It was never about you." "I don't understand." I know." I smiled, and for the first time, it felt genuine. "That's part of the problem." He stepped closer. "Aaron, I meant what I said at your apartment, about still loving you." "No, you don't." I shook my head. "You love what I represent, the one who got away, the one who saw through you." "That's not true." "It is, and that's okay." I took a step back. "I don't hate you anymore, Tyree. I don't love you either. I just see you, clearly, His face hardened. So what happens now? You still have the evidence. You could send it to Zuriel, to her father. I could, I agreed, but I won't. Why not? Because I'm done letting you dictate my choices. I glanced back at the venue, where the party continued without us. Whatever happens between you and Zuriel is between you and Zuriel. Just like that? You're walking away? Just like that. A sleek black car pulled up behind him. Zuriel emerged, her face a careful mask. There you are, she said to Tyree, her voice cool. My father is asking for you. Her eyes met mine, and something passed between us. An understanding, perhaps. Or a warning. We need to talk, she said to me. Not now, but soon. I nodded. You know how to reach me. She took Tyree's arm, her grip possessive. Let's go. As they turned to leave, Tyree looked back at me one last time. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for everything. I know. And I did. It just didn't matter anymore. They disappeared back into the venue, leaving me alone on the sidewalk. But I didn't feel alone. For the first time in months, I felt whole. Vada waved from a cab at the curb. You okay? She called. Getting there, I answered, walking toward her. My phone buzzed with a text. Hadley. Smart move. Coffee tomorrow? I have a proposition for you. Another buzz. Alvin. Thank you. For what it's worth, I think you made the right choice. And one more. Mia. Not what I expected. Respect. Still want to take down Harold if you're interested. I smiled, slipping my phone back into my purse without responding. Tomorrow would be soon enough for decisions. The cab driver looked at me through the rearview mirror. Where to, ladies? Vada raised an eyebrow, waiting for my answer. Somewhere new, I said, settling back into the seat. I think we've both had enough of the past for one night. As the cab pulled away, I watched the glittering venue recede in the window. Inside, Tyree and Zuriel were continuing their performance, bound together by secrets and calculations. Part of me wondered how their story would end. But it wasn't my story anymore. It never really had been. Mine was just beginning.